Right, welcome back. Let's now shift gears to matters, softer matters relationship. This morning we're talking about, when violence now comes into a relationship, that is when love turns violent. And when do you get to that point where, you just despise the other person, and what are the red flags that you should look out for? Our guests are already in studio, counselors Richard Ziwa Zimbalist and Beatrice Muraguri, of course, to help us unpack the signs and symptoms and, those signs that we overlook more often than not when love is in the picture. And of course, we want to hear from you. We'd love to hear your feedback and experience. Be sure to call in. There will be a number on your screen shortly. That is our call-in live phone number. We'll be happy and glad to hear your experience. Have you or anyone you know been in a violent relationship? And why was it so hard for them to walk out? Karibuni sana, lady and gentlemen. Good to see you again, Ziwa Zimbalist.
Thank you.
In studio. But let's start with you, Beatrice. What would you say about our topic of the day, when love turns violent? How do you relate to it professionally? The people you relate with and to, those, say the victims that you interact with, those couples that come to you for therapy and counseling. How do you relate to it?
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Beatrice Muraguri. I'm a counseling psychologist. And how I relate to that topic is this. As a psychologist, I understand every behavior has a source. And everything in a relationship has got its own beginning. When people are dating, it is very, very important, and allow me to apply the laws, the 48 laws of power. Law number 19, know who you are dealing with. But simply because we focus so much on, we are so much in love, the dopamine levels are very high. You are not able to see some of the red flags. And those red flags are the ones, after some times now, you have gone deeper in the relationship, becomes now the cause of, why that relationship may not work, or even that marriage may not work. But majorly, I can say, based on the kind of cases that I receive, the main thing is that sense of betrayal and unmet expectations, because when people are getting into a relationship, they have got their own expectations that they know probably I'm going to meet them, then I don't get them. Then number two, when we are getting into relationships psychologically, we are subconsciously falling in love with our past. So we are trying to identify things that we never got when we are growing up, that is in childhood. So there is a gap that we grow up with, that subconsciously, when we are choosing our partner in relationship, we try to get a person who is going to complete us. But when we get into the relationship and realize that this is not happening, we feel conned, and that can be an element of of the onset of, quote unquote, the violent-based relationship in life. Yeah.
All right, Richard. What does the first shift look like, from love to violence? And even before we get to that, let's just start us off with that. We will get to whatever I wanted to say after that.
Thank you. I think one of the greatest experiences every one of us has in life is to be in love and genuinely in love with someone. It's the best gift anyone can ever receive. And when you enter in a relationship, you enter into that relationship to add value to someone, and in turn they reciprocate the same toward you. And it's a feel-good experience. It's something I would wish everyone to be in a place where you're consciously intentional in the commitment to love someone and genuinely be loved. And you perpetually work with the consciousness knowing that I am loved. You're not insecure about it. But now the trouble is, like Tina Turner said, what's love got to do? Got to do with it. It's a painful experience when you're in that kind of relationship that you went in to love and to genuinely contribute to the relationship. Then it turns the other side. That is, your spouse or significant other turns on you. You become the object of pain, trauma, abuse of kind. And to refer to where you're coming from, she asks, who needs love when the heart is broken? Now, there's a series of things that happen in a relationship as you go into it. And there are some red flags that come up. And it might be subtle, but they're obviously very evident. the way we communicate with words. So if words are not present, we communicate with action.
Yes.
So usually abuse originates from the heart. Just like love is in the heart. It's only expressed in words and followed through with the corresponding action. The same is true hate. Hate is in the heart. It's communicated with words and corresponded with the corresponding action.
Out of the abundance of the heart.
Exactly. If the person has hate and low self-esteem and insecurity around them, they'll find a way to communicate it. Those are some of the telltale signs. The words they speak and the action that correspond the words they say. If he says, "Ntakuchapa wewe," take heed. That's not a mere threat. He might follow through, or she might follow through with it, with the corresponding action. "Ntakuchoma na hii maji moto." Watch out. You don't threaten people that I'll pour hot water on you. Chances are that could be followed through. If he says, "I'll cut you," they might actually follow through with it. So take words as a key intro to show you what could potentially be there. If it's abuse and violence in any relationship, the telltale signs or the red flags are visibly clear. You could have ignored them, or you might be ignoring them, or postponing the need to do the right things that will be to create boundaries and protect yourself. Yeah.
All right, I think we should have started with just explaining what violence is from, of course, a counselor's and psychologist's perspective. How would you, say violence is? Because when we talk about, say, when love turns violent, a lot of people may think this is just about it being physical, but we hear about the things like emotional abuse, physical abuse, we have financial abuse. How would you describe violence in the sense of a relationship?
Okay, you've already initiated the explanation. We have different types of abuses, or rather violence. We have physical violence that has to do with somebody has slapped you, but I would also like to highlight also what Zibali said. Even the pointing itself. If somebody is so much in love with you, there is no way they can be communicating with you with their fingers. Una kichwa mzuri wewe, it also starts before a slap. There is pointing of fingers. So physical abuse has to do with you are inflicting some form of physical pain. Then we also have psychological or that emotional abuse. This is whereby you either say words or even take actions that are going to harm the other person. And if when it comes to not use of words, then nonverbal signals, they include whereby you are using some silence, some cold war that are actually communicating on a very huge billboard in your relationship that I'm very far away from you. You may also try to do things that your partner is very much against. For example, you have been arguing so much about punctuality, but to ensure that every time that you're supposed to meet, you have come maybe an hour later, or even you don't even show up. So you ensure that you are causing so much pain when it comes to even meeting the expectations of the other partner. There is also financial abuse. Financial abuse comes in whereby there is management of resources. If it's it's a couple, yes, and I am hoping that we are also referring to people who are in relationships and people who are also already in marriage.
Yes.
So there is, from one side, there is misuse of resources. Things that are supposed to be used by, you have brought together, or you have decided we are going to save this amount of money so that we can embark on a certain project. You realize that behind your back, your partner has decided now to embezzle or to misdirect that those resources to another project. So you feel betrayed. So when this is repeatedly done in a relationship, people experience what we call pursuer distancer relationship. This is whereby each and every party, they feel that I need to be away from the other party. And they also try as much as possible to play hard to get in a relationship. Remember when people date, there is always this one party who want to play hard to get. Now in this case, when violence is loading, you realize that both parties are playing hard to get. So what do they achieve at the end of the day? You are playing hard to get. I'm also playing hard to get. So what happens? The gap between us continue extending day by day. But one day, that gap will be brought back. It will be manifested in an explosion based on a certain issue that has been ignored for a very long period of time. Because it becomes like an unattended wound that one day will erupt and become a huge wound that is going to eat up the entire relationship or the entire family. But what I can say is this. When such a thing is happening, that pursue a distance relationship, there is always this one person who, in this relationship, is doing more. In every relationship, there's somebody, we have got our own contribution, but there's always this person who is doing more. The person who is doing more may be able to see, this gap is becoming so huge, so can I try as much as possible to see whether we can do what? We can reduce the gap by communication, as what Zibalist said. Because success or failure of any relationship depends on both parties. It is a degree that varies. Yeah.
So is it always mutual when it comes to abuse, or is it always one person who perpetrate abuse in a relationship, according to what you're saying? Because you're talking about sometimes playing hard, they both play hard to get. So is it always a mutual, thing going on in a relationship, this abuse, or one party takes it forward?
Okay. In most cases, there is always one person that starts. And in this era of ukiwekelea mina wekelea, so some people, if they realize that you're also trying to be, cruel, they can also try to reciprocate by doing the same. So statistically, majority is it's normally one-sided, but we also have cases whereby when the other party decides to take revenge, ukiwekelea na mina wekelea. Yeah.
Ziva, how does this prevent itself, differently? We're talking about financial abuse, emotional abuse, psychological abuse, physical abuse. All this in one. Is it possible for them to, play out all at once? The physical, emotional, financial, psychological, and how do they play out differently?
Thank you. Just want to appreciate my panelists. He said the unwounded, unhealed wound.
Unattended
wound. I think abuse is abuse. And they always have a way they find themselves in more like symphony. In any relationship, to permit is to participate. You might find that one who's verbally abusive, the other one reciprocates with physically being abusive. And the context where the woman is the one who's verbally abusive, the man is usually the one who is abusive.
Physically.
But if he's physically abusive, quite unlikely, he will not contribute to the family financially with a woman who has no respect nor honor toward him as he would interpret it. The same is true, the woman said, who I respect a man who does not tenderly care for me and abuses me physically. So she withdraw and should be emotionally abusive towards the man. So there's a way in the play of relationship that if there's any measure of abuse, these things, all of them find a way they come into the relationship. And that's those who are outside looking in and say, that relationship is toxic. But one of the things that could be helpful, because the future predictor of any relationship is past experiences. It is good to navigate where someone is coming from when they're involved into abusive relationship and why they attract abusive relationships. The girl child of time, they go into relationship to attract someone who's like their father. So it would be said if a child grows up in an environment where the husband or the father was very abusive to the mother physically. I have seen in my own experience through counseling and therapy and the work I do, that such people often they attract after their kind, their father. And the same is true if the gentleman was in a relationship and the mother was having a running mouth, quite likely they attract someone who is just like their mother. And the two, the mother and the daughter, I know they never like each other. So you find that it is imperative for one to recover you from you before you go into any relationship, because you carry the best version of yourself. If you carry the toxic you in a relationship, don't expect miracles. If you've not gone for counseling and therapy, and you've not gone for premarital help, you carry that toxicity in that relationship. If you, the lady, the same will be true. Find a way you engage into meaningful relationship that genuinely care for you to navigate the chaos you came from, and detox some of the things that have scripted you, that when you go into relationship, you're not negatively scripted. Because if you go into it, you'll be insecure around a man who maybe, peradventure, he's come home late. You say, oh, men are cheat. Because where he came from, cheating was consistent with the family you came from. Or if for some reason money is not forthcoming, you'll be saying, you hide your money and you share it with other sluts or prostitutes. Because that could have been where you came from. So it is good for one to be healed internally, because a whole, complete healed you will bring freshness and life in any relationship you engage yourself into, whether it's a man or it's a woman.
And Ziva, you know, Beatrice here talked about everything has a source. And what would you say is the source of violence? Before it gets to a point where, you know, it erupts and they cannot bear each other's company, seeing each other in the house. What is the source? How does it get to that point of abuse and violence?
I think the heart is the springboard for all life. If a man is sick, his heart is sick, his mind is sick, mentally sick. And if they're feeding off from sources that are sickening, egotistical relationship that feed that unhealthy him, they'll bring it to the relationship. Because question is, you married or you get into a relationship with a mature adult female woman or a mature adult woman who, through the disciplinary experiences she went through with her parents, she's past the experience of being beaten. Then you marry her and say, me nitakunyorosha. You didn't marry a baby. You married an adult person. You have no right or responsibility to beat this woman. And if you do, God forbid, the law is against it. And culturally, it's unethical. You get it? So I think from a place where all this abuse comes from is a person who is insecure and seeking themselves. And the ego is off the hook completely. The way they are scripted, the way they've been oriented in their thinking is so toxic, and quite most of the time, where they come from, it is a place which was void of love. They do not know how to be loved and to be cared for, genuinely cared for, and they do not know how to reciprocate that. If they came out of a place where they are hated, they are unappreciated, they are not celebrated, they're always judged, they go into relationship expecting it pretty much the same. And always, what you fear is you attract it. I've seen it in too many relationships. You attract what you're always afraid of.
Why? Why is that the case? Why would you attract something you're afraid of, Ziva?
I think they love reciprocity. But the norm would be that when you go into a relationship with a positive, clear attitude to contribute and add value to someone that you love, you will get exactly that. But if you come from this place where you've been in painful, traumatic, abusive environments and relationship, family experiences, you will go with that in any relationship. You're carrying the same baggage. So you say some hateful words, she'll cook it, roast it, and boil it, and serve it to you hot. Exactly the same way you bought it. But if you carry some good words, she'll give you the same. Yeah.
All right. Beatrice, now we're talking about various types of abuse, of course, but how can now someone recognize emotional manipulation before it gets to that level where it's now physical, watu wanang'oana macho? How can we now recognize emotional manipulation before it's too late?
Okay, before I answer that, can I also add a psychological perspective from
Yes, please.
on the origin of violence in relationship? According to social learning theory, it indicates that we learn through observation. So what we observed when you are growing up we tend to manifest it in adulthood. So if you grew up in areas whereby maybe primary caregivers, their only solution to their problems was use of violence, you find that at adulthood, you find ourselves subconsciously reciprocating by doing the same. Again, according to, there is a condition called obsessive love disorder. It is not clinically registered, but people are suffering from it. This is whereby people mistake possession from protection, whereby you pathological means beyond normal age.
Too much.
You pathologically love somebody, whereby you are so jealous to a point that you want to possess that person, but outwardly, you're trying to project, I love you so much. I don't want to find you, you to get in trouble. I'm protecting you from the worst things in life. But you realize that this person is obsessively in love with this person to a point of becoming detrimental. Then we also have what we call, still in that obsession, we realize that we have poor attachment styles or indexes that comes with, again, how we were also brought up. The people who are anxiously attached to their partners in a relationship, they become so anxious for the fear of being abandoned. And that's why you find in relationships, people are saying, I don't know what I can do without you. If I cannot have you, then no one can. So these are things, and now it is now linking me to the science. How do you get to understand that somebody is in a violent relationship?
Yes.
Or what are these red flags that you can identify early enough and be able to take early interventions? Number one, if you ever find yourself in a relationship whereby you feel like you are trapped emotionally, my friend, look no more, you're in a toxic relationship. If you find yourself that you have laid yourself, or rather, it's like you've buried your life and you are now helping that other person to achieve their dreams only. Again, that is an indicator that you could be in a red flag relationship. Don't forget, when you are coming into this relationship, we are, as Zibalist said, you never married a baby, or you're not courting a baby, you are courting an adult. What does that tell you? This adult, before they became an adult, there was a 5-year-old boy, there was a 5-year-old girl inside them that had ambitions and aspirations in life. So if you find yourself that you have now rested your dreams and you're now amplifying the dreams of that other partner, then there's a problem. If you ever find yourself in this relationship, and I need to be quoted here, not to be misquoted here. If you, in this era of social media, if you ever find yourself that you don't even have freedom, okay, I'm not saying that you are posting nudes. Ordinary photos, but you have to ask permission from your partner or from your spouse. Babe, can I post this? Babe, can I? And those of you who are in a marriage, if you also find yourself, you are over-consulting. Let me give an example of over-consultation. Okay, in most cases, women are known that the kitchen department belongs to us. Okay? Yeah. But we are also appreciating that in the 21st century relationships, you are also finding men in kitchen, and we are clapping for you. If you ever find yourself as a woman, unapiga simu, babe, leo niweke kachumvi kegi ama kadogo. Nirushie karoiko kwa umbali ama karibu. Hii regulator ya gas kuna vile imetilt hivi, can we, very, babe, nataka kufika hapa kwa duka na babe ako kazini. Or rather, you're also in your place of work. But even very simple decisions, you cannot make them on your own. You realize that it's like, you realize that you are no longer in love. You are under control. But this other party knows the game they are playing because they have mastered this control over ages, over time, in the name of, I love you too much to ever stop liking you. Yeah.
So does it always come from the man's side, this conditioning to the woman that, you have to consult me before, you change this gas, before you put Royco in salt? Is it conditioning from the man, or where does it come from?
It is both ways. It can come either from a woman or from a man. Don't forget, in relationships, there's something we cannot ignore. There is power dynamics. So whoever has more power And the power I'm talking about here may be, can be financial power, intelligence power. It's of different dimensions. But whoever is calling the shots here, you realize that they will be able to, in a very subtle manner, from the beginning, they are exerting some form of control, whether it's a man or a woman. And this does not happen in the middle of the relationship. No. The first step that you make when you are dancing, the first dance of a relationship, dictates how the power is going to, whether they are going to be power imbalance or not. So it can either come from a woman or from a man, depending on the power dynamics in that relationship. Yeah.
And Ziwa, you know, we rarely hear about women being abusers. And sometimes you also don't hear men speak out when they're being abused. So how does it present itself from the man's perspective? You know, when they come and say, I'm in an abuse, or do they even come to say they're in abusive relationships? And if they do...
Would they even want to?
Would they even want to? You know, that's the question. So if they come at all, how do they describe it? And, you know, how are women abusers to these men who are in abusive relationships that turn out to be, say, violent, financially violent, physically violent, emotionally violent? How does it play out?
Trust is the foundation for all healthy relationships. And if it goes abused, anything goes. If a woman finds that she cannot trust the man, quite likely that begins the entry for many other things they can do to frustrate the man. But that does not necessarily mean that man is not trustworthy. It could be informed that actually where she's coming from, that's what informs her conduct around towards the husband. Because her predisposition in the previous relationship, whether family or past relation experiences, could have informed her in the way she relates with the current husband, spouse, or significant other. And in that way, if you see her being verbally abusive, where did she learn it from? What is she insecure about with herself? If she has a low self-esteem about herself, the way she views herself, she's been the best before. She enters the relationship ready for a fight. You won't put me down. Always in a career. She's ready to fight. If it is finances, how were finances administrated in the past, in the family where she was born and raised, or the relationship she has had before? So she would come guarded. And in being guarded, quite likely you will see the way she administrates finances in the relationship, and it could be very frustrating, or it could be selfish, and that also tells the relationship they're having. There are men who are very severely abused, and the reality is men will not come out open and say, I'm in an abusive relationship. It takes someone who cares for them as a mother, sisters, brothers, and friends, and say, hey, man, relationship yenyu.
Kidogo inaenda mrama.
They don't even break into conversation about it because abuse happens in silence. So a man, off time, he keeps quiet about certain things he would otherwise, if it were a woman, would be talking about. So a man would be quiet about them. If a man is not allowed to host friends in his own home, a man is not allowed to take his children to their parents, to his parents' family for family gathering. If a man is trapped in a relationship and you can see is micromanaged by the wife or in the relationship, because the truth is, the two shall become one. But there's that oneness that is very one-sided and unhealthy. And you can tell, it takes everyone to look, because we all learn by example and demonstration. There are certain things that are demonstrated by others, and like, I like the way they relate and administrate their relationship and the way they carry around with their family members. Then when you contrast it on the other side, it behooves you to take note there are some things that are consistently happening to the brother, and like, that ain't healthy. That's not right. And the man, if he's going to talk about something, you can tell when the wife is not up for it. And if she's not up for it, you know where the power games are played in the house. If he's going to hang out with friends and family, you can tell when the man is edgy and very uncommittal, uncomfortable, because he knows what is going to happen at home. So he would rather have peace by running home and like, we will say, I'm Kalia, Vibaya. You can tell this is not consistent with what ought to be of a healthy function of relationship, of a healthy man. And if the man is constantly apologizing for every idiosyncratic behavior of the wife, like, hey, be a man, because you're seeing certain things, that's not for the man. This is totally unethical and unhealthy. Yeah, the men were very involved into very abusive and toxic relationships, and they need help.
And so what would you say about, I've had some men say that sometimes the woman only wants to hear your problem once, or they only want to hear you cry once, and that's it. A constant, complaining and maybe just trying to express how you feel as a man becomes now a bother to the woman, or becomes quite uncomfortable. What will you say about that? Does it, turn out to become a toxic relationship, an abusive relationship, when there is no room for this man, to express his feelings as the man of the house?
The truth is, all of us, we have emotions. But when you've been tempered to think that men are not emotional, you would want to think that the man who is constantly repetitive over certain things, like, watch our mama. It's not that. Men equally have emotions and they have feelings, and they should be given a room and space to express them. Their discomfort, their discouragement, because rarely do men talk about it. Do you know why there's so many suicides today, and it's all reflecting men?
Yes.
You have more men killing themselves than women, because they think their thoughts, they don't express them. So if you are privileged to have a relationship, please get men to talk. When we're growing up and the young man does not talk, or a man does not talk, there are aunties who come and tell the young lady, hey, provoke that man to talk.
Is that the case right now,
Yes.
Ziwa, in this day and age?
Yeah.
Does that happen
and
still?
it ought to be, though it is not the case, but it ought to be. And every coach and every mentor in the relationship will tell you, when you see a man who's sullen and always uncomfortably very quiet, something is just not adding up right. A man ought to be able to break into conversation. The way he breaks into conversation might not be the same way the woman talks, but get that man to be in the company of other men to talk. There's a way we talk as men. Sometimes we talk by shelling each other and abusing each other and insulting each other. Those are men, but they're talking. It doesn't take long. A man sits out and begins to reboot and break into conversation, which he will not be otherwise comfortable with around a woman. Then if a woman is constantly nagging and bullying the man to talk, he will say nothing.
Okay. Beatrice, must a relationship be happy, perfect, bubbles, cookies falling from the sky all the time? So what are the healthy ways for partners to argue, without it, turning out to be violent? Must it always just be all bubbly and happy 24/7?
Relationship is work. It's an investment. And both parties must work so hard to ensure that they are investing something in this relationship. For a relationship to be working, and also you're talking about being happy, can I first of all separate the happiness that was there when you were dating and the happiness that is there now that you create within marriage? Because now within marriage, or as you progress older in the relationship, you are now removing masks. Because when people are dating, they wear masks. They are like onions. And they keep on peeling over. And one peel can even take 5 years. So meaning, there's a part of your spouse that probably you don't know, but under certain circumstances, you'll be able to know that aspect. And that's why you hear in relationships, or even in marriage, people saying, unajua hunijui, niko na side B. Usitake nikutole side B mama Joki. Usitake nikusoli baba Junior. Usitake kuona side B yangu. Because people are like onions, they keep on peeling themselves. Number two, the best relationship that you can develop is first of all with yourself. What am I driving to? You can only give that what that you have in abundance, as we had said earlier. So if you want happiness, Are you creating your own happiness as an independent candidate in this relationship? Because if I'm waiting for, my name is Mudhoni, let me just call myself Mudhoni. If I'm waiting for, if I don't generate my own happiness, and I don't affirm myself as Mudhoni, waiting for my husband Muragori to come in the evening and affirm me and make me happy, supposing he comes from a day, I mean, he had a very rough day at work, and he's coming in the evening waiting to be given therapy. And I'm here waiting for Muragori to come and do what? To do therapy for, to complete my happiness. So we must work so hard as a couple to ensure that we are creating our own happiness first so that we can now continue now. It's like positive vibrations. You'll be vibrating now the positivity from you to that other party. Number 3, how do you communicate? Do you communicate to win an argument, or do you communicate to pass a message? And it's so sad, and I know my fellow psychologists here will agree with me. Most of the people, most of the clients we get when they come for therapy, the major breakdown is the communication. How communication was done or has been done over time or over the years. If you ever find yourself you are listening to your partner to win an argument, then there is a problem. And if you want to know that your spouse is listening to you so that they can win an argument, they will make this kind of statement. Walai, nimekuonea 18. Niliona vile unakuja. You know, they want, and women are so good in this.
Manipulation.
Manipulation. And I knew you would come to this. I knew you would say that. I knew because I came late from fellowship the other day. I knew this would be brought on the table. Bring it on. You know, a man who is not blessed in terms of words like a woman, they will choose to keep quiet. And if not to keep quiet, sometimes that degree of quietness will sometimes be converted into a very heavy slap, and then it draws back, and babe, I'm sorry, you brought me to this. Okay? Communication. Level of arguments. How do you argue? Because if you ever find yourself in a relationship that you are not arguing, I repeat, you ever find that your partner, whatever you say, yes, I think you have a point. That is the point.
Kuna mtu anacheza.
Kuna mtu ameficha white hapa. So there is a card that is being manipulated. It is healthy to have healthy arguments in a relationship. And this is where I would like also to address my fellow women. Sometimes we are the people who shout most in this argument. Sometimes you don't have to shout when you're having an argument. You just need to improve your argument a bit. You don't have to shout. Then we become so insulting as you are arguing. And it is also good to note this for either party, man or a woman. In every argument that you have, sometimes insults can be hurled from the left, right, and center. But I'll tell you this. It is not every insult that requires war or response. Some insults require a degree of awareness and a point of reflection because it could be feedback packaged in a very intense emotion. And I'll give an example. For those of us who, when they are in an argument, they can speak million words per minute. Yani ni kama mtu amemeza MP3. Usikie your spouse amekuambia, hey jameni, this is an insult now. Jameni, hii vuvuzela yako mama Joan. Hii vuvuzela yako baba Joan. So, if you sit down and reflect after the
argument.
Now, why was I called a vuvuzela? So, how does a vuvuzela look like? Vuvuzela is used in sports to encourage the players to continue playing and scoring. And it produces a very huge, sound. So what does that mean? When I speak, the words are coming out like the voice the sound that is projected by that vuvuzela. Okay? When I talk too much, when I give so much within a minute, am I communicating? In most cases, the other party, if they are not blessed with words, they just keep quiet or they walk away. They keep on walking away. But one day, they will not walk away. They will come back, and you are going to interact with the side F of them, and that's why you hear people have killed each other in a relationship. Alafu mnaulizana guy, pasa nani anaweza fanya hivyo? Huyo, that therapist anaweza kufanya hivyo. Why? We have different parts of us. And there is this part of us that is normally very repressed. But under very awkward circumstances, under great adversity, this part comes out of us, and it comes in a very, it brings out the monster in us. So to ensure that you are not bringing out the monster in us, can we have communication that is being done for people to communicate, not to win an argument? Okay? And also understand, as Zibali said, men are also emotional. It's, you know, most of the time we position ourselves, women, you know, you have to understand me, I'm very emotional, my friend. Even men are also emotional. It's only that their way of, you know, their way of voicing their emotions is different. And don't forget, in most cases we deal with African men who are trained. If you show your emotions openly, then you are weak. I would like to tell men this morning, my friend, if you feel like you need to voice out your emotions, please do it. Because those emotions will kill you at some point, but you still bury you. But if you speak out, nobody is going to say that you are weak. They would rather say you are weak instead of talking how weak you are when you're already in your grave. Yeah.
Very powerful. Richard, do abusers ever know that they're abusive?
They do.
But what goes on in their mind?
You see, there are not two versions of yourself. There's only one version. If you're a loving person, you're a loving person. If you're an abusive person, you're an abusive person. If you're a mean person, you're a mean person. If you're kind, you're kind. There's a new, I think, one of the things I would love to intentionally encourage anyone and everyone, there's a new currency you can employ, regardless where you come from. You can be kind. You can be empathetic to people. And more so to your spouse or someone you say you're committed to love and care for. You can choose to be generous. The opposite is true. You can choose to be the opposite, but you can choose to intentionally be kind and generous and empathetic and compassionate to your spouse, your partner. So men, in my opinion, the way you want to be interpreted by your spouse is totally dependent on your private experiences. What you keep on rehearsing on a continual basis, you end up putting it into practice. If you think of being hateful thoughts, mean thoughts, you will execute them. If you're thinking of one day beating your spouse, you will actually execute it. And if a woman has been slapped once, that is a huge red flag. Please don't wait for a second one.
It will come.
Go seek therapy and counseling. A man should never at any one time beat his wife, period. And if the woman insults you, that's also a man, that should be a red flag. Please don't wait for a second one.
It will come.
Out of the abundance of their heart, a mouth will always pour out what is in there. So men, just like women, we need help. Let's normalize the need to look for counseling and therapy. Get to talk to us and talk to other people who are doing this. I will help you.
All right. As we come to the tail end of this conversation, Beatrice, of course, now when is the right time to walk out, and how do we start that, you know, walking out of this abusive relationship? Because we've heard of cases where a lot of people stay, and we've asked the question, why do they stay? We don't get answers, or maybe familiarity breeding contempt in these situations. But now, at what point does one decide now, it's now time for me to go and, you know, just find peace?
Okay, thank you. I would like to ride on what my panelists have just stated, seeking therapy. But if you realize that you've sought therapy every now and then the same behavior is still repeating itself, and it's even now life-threatening, I think it's sometimes you are allowed to take a decision of separating first. Where it is so physical, so traumatic. For example, somebody has strangled you, and the struggle I'm talking about here, don't forget, it's either side. Yeah, even women are doing it. If you have been strangled and you survive that strangle, Then you go for therapy, and then everything is working. Then after some time, you realize that now the struggle has been escorted with something else. This person has even sat on you. Are you going now to wait for the next, the struggle you have been sat on, and then umekunjwa ama now umemaliziwa? What I keep on saying is this, we stick in this toxic relationship for the fear of what people are going to say. What is the church going to say? And actually, we did such a big church wedding. My friend, the church will still come to bury you if you die in that relationship. That is number one. We need to have candid conversation. Number two, you are worried about the people who are going, when you walikuwa kwa WhatsApp group, you use their money for dowry. My friend, they will still form another WhatsApp group to bury you if you die in that relationship. So sometimes, I don't advocate for divorce, but sometimes it's good, first of all, to separate. You understand? You would rather die outside instead of dying inside a relationship where you had even gone to seek love, or even, you had gone to seek happiness. In relationships or even in marriages, it's not like in the military whereby when you die, it will be said that you have died in the line of duty. And then the gunshot will be done, so-and-so died in the line of duty. First of all, look at your safety, and then the rest come following. Then after that, if there are no other interventions, please, man, woman, don't die in a relationship.
All right, as we close now, how do you feel in the gap? You've walked away from that, abusive relationship. You're used to that love. You're used to, they say love bombing, those roses, the cakes falling from the sky, but now it's no more. How do you fill that void to avoid going back to that abusive relationship? Because we've heard of cases where they go back, people who've been in abusive relationships, to relieve that moment of abuse.
Abusers always thrive on power. So they will always find a way to manipulate you if they lose that sense of power. So they'll find a way to navigate back weave into your life, weave themselves around your children, if you have children in the relationship, or relationships closely connected to you, because they lost a sense of control, superiority, and influence over your life. They'll always find a way to get back to you. So one of the things that would be helpful, for one, is draw significant boundaries around an abusive relationship. Not to have access to you and to have access to your heart, so that you can take care of you. What's most important is take care of your heart and take care of your mind and your will and your emotions. And you should be able to be practical about it. Don't just say, I'm taking care of me. Wengine wanasemanga that ni kuoga na kurudi soko. If you've not dealt with what has been brutally traumatized you, wounded you, debased you, caused you to lose your sense of worth and self-esteem, you've attracted the same kind even after you're back to the soko. So take care of you by going through therapy, espousing yourself with relationships of family and friends who genuinely love you and care for you, speak and point to your potential and your uniqueness, and then that way, peradventure, if the other person you involved into the relationship has also gone through the time and has proven a record of performance of results that reflect what you admire and would want to work with and negotiate with, then you can return back to that relationship, or you can alternatively think otherwise. Yeah.
All right. So how can we find you? Our viewers are watching this morning, and we already have some feedback here. I'll read them, of course, after you tell us where we can find you, Richard.
On Facebook, you can find me as Richard Zimbalist, and all my socials, I use Richard Zimbalist. Or you can drop me a mail or call me up.
How can they call you? Tell them your number.
071-664-7783. 071-664-7783.
And of course, we'll be expecting to have you here some other time. Yep. Beatrice, where can they find you?
Okay, I'm on Facebook, Councillor Beatrice Muraguri. TikTok, Councillor Beatrice Muraguri. You see a lot of work that I've done there. And then I can also share my number, 0721 496 400. 0721 496 400, but don't call at 2 a.m. Just to say hi.
All right. Thank you so much, Beatrice
Don't call
Muraguri.
past 9.
Don't call past 9 p.m.
Yeah, even for me, don't call past 9.
All right, that is Beatrice Muraguri and Richard Zio Zimbalist, our counselors, who are taking us through the topic of conversation today, when love turns violent. And we see your feedback already. Sheila Kinyaga is watching from Kitengela, anasema si lazima mtu akupige ndio useme uko kwa relationship mbaya. Kuna zile silent battles watu hupitia hadi wanachoka kwa moyo. Asante Sheila. Tony Okumu watching from Nakuru anasema my ex used to text me 30 times a day and call if I didn't respond within 5 minutes. Back then I thought that's love. Now I'm seeing it was being controlled. Thank you for today's show. Kate anasema sasa mtu akikufanyia makosa na aseme ni vile nakupenda sana, how do you even argue with that? I stayed 3 years because of those lies. Of course, you addressed it, Beatrice. And this conversation is real. This is from Brian. Nasema, this conversation is real. My dad used to beat my mom, but everyone said, vumilia kwa ndoa. I grew up fearing marriage. Thank you so much, of course, for being part of this conversation. That brings us to the end of Relationship Wednesday this Wednesday. You're watching Morning Cafe. My name is Anne Odida. Good morning. Stay with us.